Hi, I'm Johnny.
And I'm Jules, or Julie, depending.
Of previous video fame, and we have decided to put out a vlog to...
And
I
Dotty.
knew that was going to happen. So the minute you start, to put out a vlog to chart and follow our adventure, transitioning from everyday 9-to-5ers with normal jobs to liveaboard cruisers. The complete transition right the way through from beginning sailing, our history, who we are, and what we do, and what we've done, and what we're planning to do. Who are we? Let's hear all about you. What does Jules do?
So I'm a buyer, and so I grew up around boats. I grew up. My parents had river cruisers from I think the age of 10. I used to go and stay with them, and then when they retired, they got a 58-foot something or other, not a sailing boat, a river boat, and they had it transported and did the Canal de Midi, and then ended up on the south of France. And over the period of 4 or 5 years, they ended up and they took it to Barcelona. They went out on the coast and followed the coast, and that was a rocky ride, I can assure you. It's like, oh my God, is this what it's like to be at sea? So, and then I went on to buy boats with my partner, and we had an amazing time with my brother and my sister. We all kind of shared one, and then we got our own, and we were the ones to keep the boat. So, and I sadly sold it 3 or 4 years ago, and that's my history with boats. John's.
So my experience with boats is far less glamorous. I'm a carpenter. I'm 54 years old, so there's not much use for boats in my life at the time. And I decided I wanted to start sailing because it looked fun and exciting and a lot safer than charging around on motorbikes and things like that. A good chance of living a bit longer. So I bought an Enterprise, which is like an opened boat with inflatable yellow airbags. They're also known as bathtubs, and there's a very good reason for that. And I started sailing at my local sailing club in Arlesey, which is great fun. And then I sold that one, and I bought a Laser, which is a little bit more sporty, again a small dinghy. And currently we have a catamaran, which is much more exciting. That's a little one, and we sail that at Grafton Water because you need a bit more space for that type of boat. And that's my introduction to sailing. I have, to be honest, never set foot on a yacht. I have never done any passages. I've been on a big ferry. Does that count?
No. Not unless you was in charge. Were you in charge of it?
They wouldn't let me in charge of anything
doesn't count.
larger than a dinghy, to be fair. So that was it. That's my boating story.
Okay, so let's just do a bit about our story. So John and I knew each other. So the friend that he had that got him back into sailing, I used to go out with when I was 16, 17, and
you used to go out with a friend. You didn't go out
I
with
used to
me.
go out with your friend.
Yeah, she was unobtainable.
You missed the boat at that time. No pun intended. So yes, we caught up with each other a while ago, and we started to study together, haven't we? And on our second date, we both agreed. In fact, John said, "Should we just buy a boat and sail the world together?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that was it. That's
it. So
that's pretty much it."
How did we get there in the middle? I think what happened was my experience with sailing the catamaran. I wanted to find out more because I knew literally nothing. How do you learn to sail a catamaran? And the YouTube, obviously, that's a massive education resource. And there's a guy called Joe who does everything you could ever want to learn to know about catamarans, and that's kind of introduced me to the YouTube phenomenon.
You're not supposed to wipe your nose on camera.
I was just kind of itching from one side to the other. We can strike that. And from there you find out about all these other amazing people that are actually, because it didn't occur to me that you could actually live on a boat, to be honest. I thought that was just more of a sort of a thing that rich people did, portly gentlemen that drink gin and tonic on their yachts.
Okay. I could be the portly lady. I don't like gin and tonic. But
No, not keen. So anyway, that became apparent, and what happened from there is you when you strike up YouTube, you then begin to see more and more things. So there's the big hitters, if you like. So you've got SV Delos and that type of thing. These guys have been doing it a long, long time before it was popular, even, and then right through to the O'Kellys. Bowen Brady sailing, stuff like that, Expedition Drench, whatever niche that you want to see in sailing, you can find it on YouTube, and there's the most famous ones, right up until the more modern ones, and you've got Kadoa, Sailing Kadoa, and Sailing Salianis, Sailing Uma, everything in there you could ever want. Anyway, but I'm going on too much.
What about the new people that you really like?
Oh, see the little things. Oh, I love those guys. It's not just.
Not the new ones. The new ones.
Oh, the
Birmingham.
new ones.
Yeah.
New ones. Because they're coming out all the time. I've literally got hundreds of subscriptions to these guys now. But the newest ones are Chasing Currents, and they're Brommies, aren't they?
Yeah, it feels a little bit more real or attainable because they're from England, and I don't know why that matters, but for some reason, And
Well, you're looking for inspiration, aren't you?
Yeah.
And all these guys. Are inspiration, and I'll be completely honest. I'm thinking I can't do this. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not stupid. I'm quite handy. I'm a carpenter. I've been doing that for the last 30 odd years. I can build roofs and everything. There's nothing I can't do in wood. But can I actually, sail a yacht? Can we live on a yacht? And the overriding information that you seem to get is they're always breaking.
Yeah, and you also one thing we forgot to mention earlier, which we should have mentioned, is the fact that John's completely deaf.
Oh yes.
I know it probably shows that it
I
looks
didn't
like
hear
he
that.
isn't, but he's completely deaf. Okay, he has we'll show you, shall we? He has a cochlear implant on the side of his head. There you go. So when he takes that off, I can't hear a bloody... Well, actually, he can't hear a thing.
I can to a degree. I can hear something.
Yeah, not me moaning though, so...
Well, no, when I was... Yeah, this is it. We won't go into detail. I can tell you details if you want to know details later.
No.
But anyway, so I am deaf. Yes,
Yeah.
if I had to take the cochlear implant out of my left ear and the digital hearing aid out of my right ear, I can't even hear myself at all. It's complete...
Yeah.
Deafening silence. That's no pun intended. So it's tricky, but since the implant,
which you've had for 7 years now.
7 years, something like that, and life's changed so dramatically. It's such an amazing piece of kit. You go from hearing nothing, having the television at sort of level 25 out of 30 just to hear it. And not using a telephone, not listening to the radio, that kind of thing, to living a much, almost, so we say, normal life again to a degree. Although we did take classes in sign language.
Yeah, so we decided if we're obviously in our everyday life now, there are certain situations where it's like, we've been out and the battery's gone. It's kind of like, okay, we sit in silence on the way home in the car, but we don't, because I just have the music player and I can sing at the top of my voice. But there have been certain situations where it's kind of like, okay, what would we do on the boat? Because I'm up one end and I'm dropping the anchor, and then John's at the back going, la, 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 and I can't communicate with him. So we decided probably about a year ago to start BSL sign language courses, so we could communicate with each other without this in. And yeah, we've done quite a lot. So that's something that's really important to us, to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
If he drops it over the side of the boat, that's it. We won't be able to hear anymore. So that's
it is kind of like that. When you start off wearing any hearing aid, or especially an implant, you got this overriding fear of what happens if I lose it, because they're so expensive. I mean, they're £38,000 for this thing, and it's thanks to the NHS again for that. And
but it's waterproof,
it
isn't
just
it?
makes you feel really vulnerable. Then again,
But you went on the water park. He doesn't worry about it. He goes sailing. He's got like a waterproof kit with it, so it doesn't really bother him. It doesn't hinder him, and it will not prevent him doing anything. But I wanted to bring it in because it's going to be a factor and hopefully some inspiration for other people who feel that they can't do it because of this, that, and the other. So,
you can, very much so. You can, and as people go, I'm one of the most shy. I may not look at wearing this particular shirt, but I am. Everybody suffers from. If you're deaf, you are not always in the room, shall we say? So that's
okay.
it. So,
we need to stop waffling now and actually talk about the actual reason for the video.
Can I just mention podcasts?
Yes, quickly.
So podcasts. So there I was watching YouTube and not having enough time in the day to watch all these brilliant YouTube channels that came up, and I never really encountered podcasts before. I thought they were about boring people talking politics and whatnot, but they're not. There are actually sailing podcasts as well. And anyway, I'd had a bit of a hunt on Spotify, which was the thing at the time.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored yet. No. And Amika has a liveaboard sailing podcast, and she's in the middle of transitioning from a land life to wanting to be a liveaboard sailor. So she started up a podcast, really clever lady, and she's talking to everyone and anyone that has anything to do with it. So anyway, and as I was driving backwards and forwards from work at the time, and that was taking me like an hour every day, what a brilliant way to fill your drive, listening to all things boaty. But I pretty soon ran out of those podcasts and discovered some other ones, and the most amazing one is run by a guy called Andy Hesketh at them, and it's the Ocean Cruisers podcast. Now, he has talked to everybody who's anybody, and quite a few others as well, and it's
you love him, don't you?
Andy's,
I think he's got a man crush on Andy.
It's a bromance.
A romance.
It's a bromance. Do you get this as well? Please let me know, because out of all the different YouTubers that are out there, now and again you can write a note or a question or whatever, looking for feedback, and I'm more than happy to, And he gave me, not only did the guy give me an answer, he actually sent me a voice recording of the particular question, and I thought, that's so nice. That's just. But the great thing is also, in addition to that, so you've got YouTube on the one hand, you've got the podcast on the other, and you seem to think of them as two separate things, but they're not. And then you're watching one of our favourite YouTubes, See the Little Things, and Andy pops up on a passage.
Oh yeah,
and it was just like, oh, look, that's what he looks like. One day I want to meet Andy. I'm gonna blush.
Okay, right.
And keep up the good work, because you're the main man, definitely.
Okay, cool. So we wanted to talk about. So obviously, very seriously, we started to consider, if we're going to do this, what kind of boat do we want? Where do we want to go? What's important to us? So we spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours watching all of the YouTube videos, and then we started to look at boat adverts, yachts for sale, that kind of thing, Yacht World, and all the websites. What I really would like you to do is to share the places that you look for boats, or you have looked for boats in the past, because it's becoming apparent to me that we're missing some. We go on Yacht World, boat, Apollo Duck, the yacht market, and all of those places. But I spoke to a guy this morning who has found his ideal boat, and it was just advertised on the internet via one that we hadn't found yet, and that's gone. So please, can you list below in the comments where you think is a good place to find. We have settled on a boat that we really want.
Yes,
I'm going to go backwards a little bit, but we really want a Moody 38cc.
Yes.
And today I've joined the owners club, because I believe that maybe there'll be more become available.
Can you do that without owning one?
Yes, you're only allowed a temporary membership if you haven't really got one.
We're kind of
wannabe
Moody owners.
Well,
Andy's got a Moody as well. Did you know that?
Yeah.
That just adds kudos to the brand, and it's British. It's as well. It's made in the UK.
So we went through a lot of things that we want. I really want two heads. Having had boats before, and the children and the grandchildren come and visit you, the children get hold of the toilet and they just bust it. So I don't want to be somewhere where we can't use the toilet. So 2 heads to me is really important. Have you noticed that I've started to use boat terminology now? I started to say the word heads.
Yeah, I kind of know that kind of creeps in when because that's the other thing we haven't told anybody. We are actually in the middle, almost exactly in the middle of doing the RYA Day Skipper exam because
not in the middle. You've finished all of your modules. And
but now that's so that's that, and now we have to do the.
I've done the 10. You've done up to 12, haven't you?
Yeah, we've done that. We need to take the exam. We need to get out on the water, basically. But so that's that really brings home to you the terminology rather than left and right and bog. Now you say.
So I wanted to have 2 heads. We really like the island bed or the centre bed in the back aft cabin.
The aft cabin.
That's it. Yeah, in the aft cabin.
Just when you were telling people you knew the terminology.
So that's what we really like. The Moody just looks absolutely amazing. We just can't. Sailing Solianis did a database. I paid for it. Kirk had developed this software. We can't use it unfortunately because apparently in England, and you may know differently, but we're not allowed to. The boat sellers or the brokers, whoever sells a boat, were not at liberty to disclose the information about how much it was sold for. So I've built a database and I'm going to insert it in here. Okay, so this is my folder. As you can see, we've got lots of layouts of different boats, just so we could do some comparisons right from word go, really. Obviously, the Moody featured heavily, and this is the database that I created. Excuse the dogs growling in the background. So, as you can see, we've got excuse that pop-up, the model, the year it was built, the name of the boat, the asking price, whether the tax is included. Obviously that's a great factor at the moment. The date it was listed, the sold price. Obviously I haven't populated any of those fields. The date it was sold, roughly, where it is laying, a link to the website, and then we go on with more detail here about the engine hours, rolling, furling mainsail, raft mount, BT, whatever that stood for at the time, standing rigging changed, tender, outboard, solar power, radar, bimini, and any other note. So this has been really, really helpful. Here we've got a link to where the boat is advertised. They stay, even though the boats have been sold, it looks like the brokers actually tend to keep the boats listed, but still say sold to, I guess, to pull in traffic. But this has been really, really helpful. So that's the database.
So it's do your homework, basically. That's what we're in the middle of. Yeah,
so we began to build a database of, I think out of 163 that Moody 38cc's were built, we've managed to find about 40. Which is not great, but and obviously I could see when they were for sale and how much the sale price was, but obviously I have no idea what they were going for. John was under the impression that sometimes they'd go for 20% less for the asking price. But I think over COVID and stuff like that, apparently they've kept their prices, haven't they? So
some of the advice that we've had has been from quite a while ago, obviously, because YouTube is a great thing, but some of it was 5 or 6 years old. So
there's not even enough boats out now. So a couple of brokers that I've spoken to are just can't get hold of the boat. So.
And things change, don't they? So whereas maybe 5 or 6 years ago you would, as normal, offer the asking price less 20%. Now it seems a lot more par for the course to. But
again, tell us your experiences below, because we can only go on what we've done, and what the snippets of information that other people have given to us. So anyway, we came up. Yes, we want a Moody 38cc. That's our ideal, but that's
the dreamboat. But there's a lot of people out there a lot more experienced than us. It's probably most of you. Will say you can't just set your heart on one boat, and fall in love with that. No. You need to look at other boats, and we have done that. We have looked at other boats.
We haven't actually looked at a boat. We haven't been and touched one or sniffed one or anything like that.
Sniffed?
Yeah, well, you know me.
I suppose so, yeah, if they're mouldy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Fair
So,
point.
the database has been really, really helpful, and now I can see that if one's come up again or again, and I'm hoping that by the time we've managed to find our dream boat, that the database will have grown a little bit more. So we got to the stage where we found one. So we had I spoke to a broker, John Rodriguez John Rodriguez Yachts, on the south coast, and he chatted to me about his wife's book that John was already reading.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll put a link down below. So Nicola had written a book called Get Away. Sail away, get out of the quitting the rat race. And that boat was all based on their Moody 38cc, funnily enough. He said it was an amazing boat, and he'd sailed it over to the Caribbean and
what was it
talked
called?
about his adventure. It was called Seraphim.
Seraphim.
So, and Seraphim has come up for sale. Seraphim is now in Guatemala.
I didn't even know where Guatemala. See, I tell you anywhere in London or Hertfordshire, but it's Mexico. Apparently, it's in Mexico.
No, I think it's a place near. It's a country near Mexico. I don't know. I might have to edit that out because we look really stupid.
They're going to find out.
Sooner
or later, going to find out, aren't they? So
it's in Rio Dulce.
Bring it on.
So I spoke to the broker and explained our situation. And I've done lots of investigations over the last couple of weeks about how do we get this boat back. You know, it's within our price range. It has got absolutely everything that we want. It just ticks every single box. It's just perfect. So I had a quotation from like a piggyback boat where they transport your boat. Unfortunately, that only goes from Palm Beach in Florida, and it has to go to Genoa in Italy. And obviously it would need to be transported from Rio Dulce, Guatemala, up to Florida.
A boat going on a boat.
Yeah, with loads of other boats.
That's
and then
getting your head round.
It goes all the way to Italy. And then from Italy, we would want to get it to somewhere in Europe that we would eventually go to. So there was lots of choices, you know, and I would love to hear your experiences again, because this is all new to us. And obviously, you know, we're still investigating. But I had a quotation from the piggyback boat company, and it was $22,000 to get her back to.
That's a lot of dosh, isn't it?
Just to Europe, to Genoa in Italy. We subsequently advertised on Cruise Seekers. I've had 4 replies, which is great, for skippers that are willing. John would probably sail out to Mexico.
Well, I would certainly
John
be
would
there.
fly to Mexico.
John
would fly to Mexico and come. They would come back together, ideally. But the replies that we've had are it's hurricane season. It's out of the question, because I imagine it would probably be 5 or 6 weeks before we were ready to do that. And July is peak hurricane season through to November. So, but then we think, well, what would we do about that? How would we get it? Where are we going to put it? All of these things, which I'm guessing you guys will, you know, if you're in the same situation as us, you know, have you made the leap? Have you purchased a boat from overseas? How did it go? What are your experiences? Because we're faced with a situation where, you know, sometimes they're £20,000, £30,000 cheaper over there. Obviously, this boat is VAT paid, but it left the UK 8 years ago. And regardless of the fact that the owners have a certificate to prove that they've paid the VAT, as far as I'm aware, and I've spoken with customs and excise, they've said because it left the country more than 3 years ago, the only person that could re-import that boat without paying the VAT is the current owners, and they would have to prove that they were registered.
So
the registered
the key
owners,
is
yeah.
That basically, if it changes hands, you've got to pay the tax again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Within 3 years. So all at the moment, it's looking like if we bought it back, regardless of the hassle factor and how complicated that entire logistically it would be, it's almost like it's brought it back up to the same price as we've seen some of them go for, you know, some of them advertised at 99,000 in the UK,
which is
tax paid.
It's kind of honestly
so
explains why it's cheap, because it is a little bit, unless you're planning on going out to that part of the
and
world.
we've even considered that. Do we just up sticks and go to Mexico and then just start our journey over there? But it's not the right time for us at the moment.
It's not the right time. It's not
because
really
of the
the right
commitments
place.
that we have. And so we had an appointment to go and see a Moody 376 today. Today.
So it's not just a Moody 38. We are absolutely not pigeonholed.
No.
And the Moody do make another. There's more of them made, wasn't there?
Yeah.
There's a lot more of them made, I think.
Yeah, so we got the 376s. I think there's 300 and something, and the 37 is the same. And also we looked at the 36 centre cockpit, but that doesn't have two heads. So the 37 and the 376 both have two heads. They don't have the island bed at the back, but it's kind of like a hybrid version.
It's not an island bed, but it is a bed that.
We don't want to be climbing over each other, do we, to go to the toilet in the night.
No.
That's the only thing. But the thing is, obviously, the criteria is changing as we go along, because it's kind of like, we thought that there'd be 100 of these boats available, or maybe we could just take our pick. How naive were we? When now it's like, okay, right, we are almost ready to go. It's like, there isn't anything available, so it's becoming apparent that maybe I can't have my two heads. Maybe we can't have the island bed.
Compromise,
absolutely. And that's the hardest thing.
It's like,
out of all of this list of things that we want, the must-haves, which of them are we happy to sacrifice? Because it may take us another 5 years to find our ideal boat if we don't go for the one in Guatemala.
Exactly. We need to compromise.
That's the situation. So,
but we also we need to find other sources of finding boats.
So as I said, we've joined the Moody Owners Forum, and we'll see how that goes. And I guess I'm talking to people that are looking at boats. Someone gave me some really good information about a boat that's available in Greece that looks amazing on the photos. And you're like, no, don't go and see it, because it's not, those photos are years old, and it's I've been
we're not going to mention any names of that boat, but that was a real shocker. To think that somebody would send us photos, a bit like a dating app, really. You send one.
A catfish.
Can you imagine sending a picture of yourself 30 years ago? I mean, that's just daft, because they're going to meet you, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So and obviously, if it was in Europe, we would go and see it, ideally, as soon as it became available. But it's becoming apparent that they disappear off the market almost as quick as they come on. Mexico is, who's going to spend £2,000 on a flight over there? And as John said to one of his friends the other day, you can go and have a look at it and touch it and smell it and all of that stuff, but we're not experts by a long stretch. And you could just go, yes, I really like it, but it's really about, is the boat safe? Is it sound? Does the engine work properly? What's the rigging like? And all of that kind of stuff, which when you pay for a survey, you've got reassurance for that. So we did make the
decision. But there's more than one type of survey, aren't there? So basically what we're saying is the process, as we understand it, is that you go and see the boat and get a feel for it. That yes, I like this. I like the feel, the touch, the cockpit, all the things that you would normally do when you go and look at something. And then to show good faith, to show that you are genuinely committed to wanting to buy that boat, you then pay
you put an offer in then at that stage, don't you?
10% deposit.
And put a 10% deposit down if that's accepted.
That's it.
Subject
and then
to
that
survey.
holds the sale of the boat,
Subject to
doesn't
survey.
it? That holds the sale of the boat, and then you have your survey done, which you have to pay for. So as a boat buyer, you have to spend some money checking it out. They will survey the boat, and I think what we're probably going to do is have a mechanical survey, a rigging survey, and a general survey, because it's There's lot of money.
Probably some proper words for that, and we don't know what they are, but yeah.
Yeah.
So we were going to go and see the boat today, but unfortunately, had a text message from the broker last night to say that the people that had been to see it on Saturday had given the full asking price. Obviously, he said he'd be in touch with us if things changed. So yeah, we were ready for a 4-hour drive up at 6 o'clock this morning, and it didn't happen. Well, we were just
I'm kind of glad, because I didn't really, it was a 4-hour drive. It was going to be a 4-hour drive up there
and 4 hours back.
And 4 hours back. Now we would do that because this was like, can you imagine? This is the first yacht that we get to step on.
We went to St Catherine's Dock in London last weekend, and we just sat and had a couple of glasses of wine in the dock, looking at the people with boats. There was a Jeannot, and there was an Oyster. It's a 38-foot boat. We actually saw what size a 38 foot boat looked like. You know, the boats that I had on the river were 28 and 25. And they felt fine to me, but obviously I didn't live on them. I spent quite a substantial amount of time on them, but it was amazing to see. You know, it's like, okay, well, that's a 38-foot yacht. That could be what we're going to be living in.
That could be home.
These people coming in and out and doing their thing, and you know, taking their lines down and sailing off wherever they were going next. It was just amazing, wasn't it? It was like, oh my God, the first time in our relationship that we've been anywhere near something that we are so, you know. And at the same time, I was literally on the telephone to Catherine in Guatemala, talking about Seraphim, about the process and the surveys and that kind of stuff, sitting next to a 38-foot yacht. How surreal is that? So on one hand, we're almost at the stage of buying one over the telephone, but we're sitting next to one.
No, we're not. I'm not spending that money over the phone. No, Jeez. So yeah.
So that's where we are, isn't it?
That's
really?
kind of where we are. We've got obviously some experience of living in small spaces together, because I know a lot of people out there thinking you're absolutely mad. You know, you're going to go and live in 38 foot of boat from.
We've forgotten something.
Peggy.
No, the dogs.
Oh yeah, the dogs.
Let's get them, shall we?
And we've
Dotty, Dolly, come on, Dolly. These are our dog companions that are going to come with us. Dotty, Dolly, come on. This is our
Dotty,
cute
who's
factor.
That?
Who is that?
So this is
Dolly.
Dotty, named
Dolly's too
after
tired
my
to come
late
upstairs.
mum, bless her, who sadly we lost last year, and my dad too. So it's not been the best of years, to be honest.
Come on, Dodos.
And she's a snoodle, which is half.
And this is Dolly.
And this is Dolly. And
She's
Dolly
a Russian
is
toy.
a Russian toy,
Can we, Dolly?
And they, you know, so they're going to be coming along with us on our journey.
Yes, they will.
That's going to be another experience as well, isn't it? So
it's okay because Dotty will pee anywhere. So
yeah, I feel so. I just want to say at that point, Godot, I really feel for you and Hank.
Yeah.
Bless him, because all he wants to do is run around and pee, isn't it? And you can't really do that. What sort? He's a
Rhodesian Ridgeback.
Rhodesian Ridgeback. That's a big dog, but it works. They make it work mainly thanks to the efforts of getting him to the coast and back. I think these two would quite happily pee on a dinner plate
After they licked
anyway.
it, yeah. Anyway.
So that's the size. That's the story so far.
That's where we are. Please interact with us. Please tell us what if you think we're doing anything wrong, if you can help us, if you experience, you know, we'll be more than happy to chat with anyone. If you're in the UK and you've got a moody 38cc and you want to show two desperate people around and let us touch it and sniff it and feel it, that would be amazing.
I wouldn't want you sniffing or touching. Anyway, what are we going to do now?
Oh, are we going to go out for lunch?
We're going out for lunch. Can we have a coffee? Because we need some more coffee and stuff like that. And then there's all sorts of things to do, isn't there? Okay, let's do that.
Okay, so yes, please subscribe to our channel. If you give it a thumbs up, would be amazing. You might be one of the first person.
If we get to do it lucky enough to do this again, can I do the pointing up to the corner thing? Can you sort that?
Yeah, that means I have to know how to use cards.
Good. This is where you need to fade the
So on
sound
my other
out.
channel, I still need to learn how to use cards, and I can't. So, but you can point up there if you want to.
I misheard that. Sorry. Do you use
cards? It's called a card. When that little grey box that comes up and they say, "I'll link it up here."
I didn't know
it's
that.
It's called a card. So go on, just pretend.
Okay, so please subscribe to us, because I would like one follower, even if it's.
I'll follow you.
No, that doesn't count. I want. Oh, Andy, please follow me, and you can subscribe here. No, I want to put it. I really need to there. Anyway.
Right. Okay. See you later. Have a good weekend.
Yeah. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Maybe I should do the same as you, like Charlie's Angels. Right, are you ready? Right.
How do we start this?
We start at the very beginning.
At the beginning.